Right. Good morning. Good morning. What a day we've got today. It's really, really nice. Hey, I am just coming on here and I want to do a quick, just kind of a quick video here and talking about the worst advice for pain that I've ever heard. But not just because like I heard it, but because so many people are getting advice like this. So many people are struggling with chronic pain. And you know, it is an epidemic that is only getting worse, and it really it's sad. It makes me sad, and it breaks my heart when people aren't getting any better. When they're trying things, when they're being told things like what I'm about to talk about, and it's not really solving the problem. And then, you know, it's like little by little, it seems like there's more and more things that we can't do. We can't do this, we can't do that. And it's as if like our lives little by little start to get taken away from us. Like there's more things we can't do than we can. And it really bugs me because especially with chronic pain, it's not like a permanent sentence, or at least it doesn't have to be. And it's one of the, I won't say it's easy to fix. I'm not going to say it's easy, but the process of it is really simple, right? The principles behind it are very, very simple, and it can be fixed to a huge degree. So what I'm talking about is like the worst advice that I ever heard. And it was advice that I've known that a lot of people get, and I got myself like years ago when I struggled with it, was to avoid doing certain movements or activities. So for example, you know, if your knees bother you, like don't squat down anymore. Or if your back bothers you, don't bend over anymore, or avoid like twisting your body and things like that. So why do I have a problem with it? Well, look, let me look at it and explain. Now, I would never advise anybody to do anything that would injure them. Okay, so that's first and foremost. I'm not saying like just go against the advice and do stuff that's going to hurt you. No, but here's the problem that I have. Hey, Robert, thanks for tuning in, man. Good to see you. The problem that I have with it though is that what it's doing is it's doing like a lot of things do, like with what medications and a lot of surgeries do, and a lot of, you know, these things that we try, where it's really just a way to try to manage the symptoms, okay? But the problem with managing symptoms is that the problem never goes away. So if you could try to avoid bending and twisting and squatting down and everything, but the problem is that you're always going to be susceptible to a knee problem anytime you have to do these movements. And granted, these movements are things that we do in our everyday lives, right? If you think about it, right? If you took it out of like an exercise standpoint, a squat, don't think about doing an exercise like a squat. Think about everything that you do over the course of your days that involves squatting. You know, as simple as sitting down and standing up, getting in and out of bed, you know, having to pick something up off the floor around the house. Like we have to squat down and stand up. It's a movement that we need to do. If all we do is try to avoid movements that, you know, maybe we can avoid them in the gym while we work out, but we can't avoid them in our everyday lives. So if we don't learn how to perform these movements safely and to do them the right way so that they don't hurt when we do them, we're always going to be vulnerable to pain and injuries every time we do it. So it doesn't really help the problem at all. So, you know, for me, I always look at not so much like that movements are bad. There are no bad movements. There really aren't. If a movement causes pain, we've got to get away from like saying that or thinking that the movement's bad, and instead start to understand that it's not the movement that's the problem. There's an issue with the way that we perform it. If we're not lined up right, if our joints aren't aligned right, if we don't understand posture, if we don't understand position, if we don't understand performing movement patterns the right way, that's where we get in pain. And the joints get irritated and wear and tear starts to happen. And we start to think that, man, I can't do this movement anymore because it's bad for me. Or we start to tell ourselves things like, you know, I have a bad back. I have weak knees. I have this bad shoulder, right? And we start labeling ourselves as having bad body parts, or I can't do this and I can't. And that becomes our narrative that starts to control the rest of our lives. We're forever controlled by that narrative rather than understanding that, wait a minute, what if I learned how to do this movement properly, if I learned the way that I need to position my body, if I learned how to hold my posture, if I learned how to perform these things the right way, they wouldn't hurt so much. And I could do things without all the pain. That's where the direction needs to go, rather than trying to just simply manage symptoms. We really need to do a better job at at identifying and eliminating the things that are causing the problem in the first place. Pain isn't a bad thing. It's really bringing something. It's a way that your body is bringing something into your awareness that, hey, something somewhere here is wrong, so that we can address it and fix it and eliminate the problem. Chris, what's going on, man? Good to see you. That's, the don't do these movements, don't do these activities. It really is like the worst advice I've heard, because there's no written rule anywhere. There's no like clouds that are going to part in the sky and this mysterious voice from above is going to tell you like, okay, now that you're older, you can no longer run anymore. You can no longer play sports. You can no longer bend down and do these movements. It's not a problem with age. And it's not a problem just because our shoulders or our backs or our knees hurt. It doesn't mean we can't do things. It just is, again, bringing something to our attention that needs to be focused on, that we need to become aware of so that we can address it and fix it. That's how we're going to be successful in fixing the issues here. And I've just seen too many times where people are getting their lives like taken away from them little by little, being told that they can no longer do certain activities that they love to do because they're in pain. And it's not working. We have to do better. There's got to be a better way. I went through it myself. I went through it for years, struggling with pain from head to toe, and it was ridiculous. And that was one of the things that I really started to realize, like when I was trying everything and nothing was working, and seeing it and spending 3 years working in 8 different physical therapy clinics. And I got to see a lot of things. I got to see, the good things, and I got to see the not so good things. I got to see what worked, and I got to see the things that weren't working. And more specifically, though, why things weren't working. Like when people were getting treatments done and they weren't getting any better. And I was starting to notice that trend of we have become a nation that is just focusing on symptoms, managing symptoms, but failing to identify and eliminate root causes. So, I'm not trying to jump on a soapbox here, but I really, really just cannot stand that advice of, don't squat anymore. Don't twist anymore. Don't lift anything more than 10 pounds. You can't do this. You can't do that. There's too many things, too many labels being thrown around, and they're being thrown around by people that aren't really understanding how to get to the root cause, how to identify it, and how to eliminate it. So that's what I want to talk about today, is really, changing the game here and not telling ourselves that story. I can't bend down. I can't squat. I can't run. I can't, do the things that I love to do anymore because I have bad knees or a bad back, or because I'm too old, I'm too out of shape, I'm too overweight, I'm too this, I'm too that. We've got to stop telling ourselves these stories and instead start looking for the solutions. Identify the root cause and work on eliminating that. Once we pull that break out the way, it's amazing how the body can heal itself, but we've got to give it the right environment. So stop focusing on the symptoms, but start to look for and identify and eliminate the root cause. Don't accept the, you can't because you're too old. You can't do this because you got a bad back or weak knees. No, it's not true. We can heal our bodies if we give them the right environment. Focus less on the symptoms, eliminate the cause. If you guys have any questions or comments, type them in down below, but I'm going to take off right now. I just wanted to pop on real quick at that, and I hope that helps. And real quick before I do go, if you guys have any issues with some of this stuff and you're not getting any better and things aren't working and you're trying them, you've been through stretching and icing and trying exercises and getting cortisone shots and foam rolling and pain relievers, or if you've gone through a surgery or therapy or any of this stuff and it's not working, private message me or comment down below and let me know what you're stuck with and how I can help. That is what I am here to do. Right, you guys have an awesome day. Take care, stay strong, and I'll talk to you soon.